Hey guys, so I wanted to start off with a real quick recap of how we could flesh out that calculator on the third tab from yesterday's task. So remember with this third tab, it the task is a lot like the first one where we use the quadratic formula. But remember the quadratic formula is only set up to help us solve equations that look like this that are set equal to 0. So if what we were trying to actually do here on this problem is we're trying to solve an equation that's set up like this, where we are no longer just set equal to 0, but we can be set equal to any number over here, what we would have to do is a little bit of quick algebra up front, right? Now, this last term is a number. This last term over here in kind of that traditional C position would just be a number. So the way that we would algebraically tackle this is we would just subtract this last square from both sides, and we would subtract it right under this because those would be the like terms. Remember, the idea with like terms is they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. Now, this helps us out to determine what our values of A, B, and C would be to actually run through the quadratic formula. So our quadratic formula, notice this value, whatever's in this first box, that's still going to be A. Whatever's in this box, that would still be B because we didn't change anything about either of those. The only thing that's going to be different is this C, the C value that would go into our quadratic formula, is now going to be these combo. So the C is actually going to be like box 3 minus box 4. So whenever we fill out our formula in the spreadsheet, we'll fill in b squared, 2a, all of those things the same way. But whenever we want to choose C, we won't be able to just click one box. We'll actually have to choose box 3 minus box 4. So that's the logic behind where we're going with this. Over to the spreadsheet. Again, feel free to click along with this as you go through, or you can always just kind of pause the video and go back and update your task. We've got to make sure that we have this task taken care of accurately before we can move on to utilizing the formula. So first, anytime we want to use a spreadsheet to calculate something, we start by pressing the equals key. That tells the spreadsheet that we want it to calculate. And now we're just going to type in that whole negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, we're just going to make sure instead of c, we're going to do box 3 minus box 4. So like yesterday, let's open a parenthesis. That way we can evaluate the whole numerator in a parenthesis first. So there we have like the negative b. Again, here we're only doing the plus solution first. Square root of b squared. Again, notice the shift 6 to get the up caret for the exponent, minus 4 times, again, a spreadsheet has to have some indication of what are you doing between things. So you can't just write 4ac. You have to put that asterisk or the shift 8 for multiplication. So 4 times a times, and here's the one tricky part. So c is not just going to be this third box. It's actually going to be the third box minus the fourth box. So notice how I had to put that in parentheses because when we subtract those, that's going to be our C value. So I close the parentheses on that, and that makes sure my C is kind of wrapped up. Now, if I close the next parenthesis, notice what you can see here with the shading. That second parenthesis I closed the square root. Okay, so the shading helps you keep track of where you're at. Now we need to close the parenthesis one last time. Notice that closes the numerator. Okay, now finally, let's divide by the denominator. So we'll do divided by, and again in parentheses, anytime you have more than one thing, you want to use a parenthesis. We'll do 2 times a, which again would be just that first box. So the only box that's actually changing from what we had in our first calculator is C. Instead of just clicking one box for C, we have to replace that with subtracting 2 cells. Beyond that, obviously these cells are in slightly different locations, so we're just kind of updating those positions. But again, I would really encourage you, take the time and practice kind of selecting these boxes. If we can get the hang of this, it's going to be a lot more useful and beneficial. So once we're done with the formula, remember, do not just click off, press the enter key on your keyboard and it'll calculate. Now, here we're getting an error, division by zero. That's just because I don't actually have numbers in here. So if I were to go back through and throw some numbers in here, there, I put in numbers in each of the spots and you can see the plus solution. Now, take a moment, finish out and do the minus solution. So again, it's going to be the exact same setup, but instead of the plus the square root, you'll do the minus square root. And once you have this set up, you're going to be in good shape that you would be able to submit this assignment. So let me show you how the submission part works for those of you guys who are ready to go there. If you come up over here to the top right and you click on share, you should see something that looks like this. Come down here at the bottom where it says share with Gilbert Public Schools. I find that it's just safer if you choose anyone with the link. Right? This makes sure whoever has the link is going to be able to do what they need. Now, whenever you're submitting this to me, please make sure that you allow me to edit this task. This is just going to be so I can go in and I can leave you comments, and I can also try and update your yellow boxes and make sure that everything's working. So once you have anyone with the link and editor set, you can just click this copy link button and be done. And now at this point, you can come into Canvas. Your view is going to look a little bit different than mine, but you should have a blue button up here that says Start Assignment, and you could just paste that link into the assignment, and that's where you would be able to start moving forward. Okay. Once you have submitted that assignment, you'll see that the next task in Canvas is a practice assignment where you can actually use your calculator to solve a collection of problems. So you can hit the next button, press start, and start working through these math problems. This is going to be our big focus, making sure that we can finish this up. We'll take probably about half of the class period just to make sure that we can get through this before we look at one new calculator here.